So in this video, I'll show you how to make a multi-agent, multitask travel planning flow. This is going to take these 4 inputs and run a series of tasks to research some of the weather, events, a bit about the destination, as well as some flights to help you plan a trip. The video will end with a bit of information on how to wrap the TaskflowAI flow you've designed in a UI with Streamlit, and that'll enable you to make a simple UI like this to display all the actions of the task flow. So this travel planning team looks a bit like this. We have 2 agents, the web research agent that has wiki article and image search, and it also has Google search, and so we'll assign that to research destination and events. And then we have a travel agent with flight and weather search that we'll use to research flight options to find tickets and research the weather for that time period to help you plan that trip. If we were doing a trip, we could say we're traveling from Toronto to Paris from August 15th to the 24th, and we have an interest in architecture. So this little UI is going to run the task flow we designed, and we have our agents searching Google, Wikipedia articles on Paris, as well as some images of the architecture there. And we have a nice report generated from different places to see in Paris. Now we have the event search. So this agent is searching Google for events in Paris, that time frame. And we have a few architectural tours, photography meetups. There's a biennale. So the weather report, we have the weather for that date span, then that week that we'll be in Paris, sort of highs, lows, recommendations. So the next task we have our travel agents looking up flights. The agent ran a query for Toronto to Charles de Gaulle, got a response. So we have the most convenient lowest price option, August 16th, and some prices on those tickets. So finally we have our travel report, and this is going to take all the different outputs from all the previous tasks and write a cohesive singular report. And so we have a few options for our flights, the prices. We have things to do in Paris, different events, the weather, temperatures, some of the details that we'll have for each day, and finally the architecture tour, as well as some images there in that final report. And so that's the task flow that we'll be building in this video, and what it looks like is this. So we have those 2 agents defined and the 4 or 5 tasks, and then the UI wrapper for the app. First thing you want to do is set up a folder for the project. You can set up a virtual environment, and then you can install TaskflowAI with pip install TaskflowAI, the command. And once you have that set up, you can add a few API keys. This is going to rely on Serper, the weather API.com, and Amadeus. And then the LLMs, you'll need to power them with either OpenAI, Anthropic, or OpenRouter, and then you can choose what LLM you're using for the flow. So to start the file, we're going to want to import a few of the main modules from TaskflowAI so that we can use those throughout the flow. So we've imported the modules agent and task. So we imported agent, task, the LLM module for OpenRouter, as well as the tools for web, Amadeus, and Wikipedia. And then set verbosity will allow us to show some of the prompt logs while we're building it. Now we can define our 2 agents. For that, we'll use a web research agent to take care of some of that web search, and then we'll have a travel agent to take care of weather and flights. So we'll define the web researcher first and provide a role, goal, and attributes for that agent, as well as assigning some of the tools in the LLM. For tools, we're going to assign the web researcher agent, Serper search, and that's Google search, and then we'll assign it also Wikipedia article search and image search. So Serper search is part of the web tools package or web tools class, and the search articles and search images are from the Wikipedia tools. So now we'll establish the travel agent, and that will take care of the weather search and the Amadeus flight search. Now that we've defined these two agents, we can dive in and start defining our set of tasks. So for each task, we'll wrap it in a function. The first we will call research destination task. We can use the task.create method. So here we'll assign our agent context and instruction. So we should think about first then, what are we going to be asking the user at the beginning of the script that the agent will be using to do its research. So for this, of course, we'll need the destination they're traveling to, and perhaps some interests that the user has. So we can set that up with the main orchestration function and ask the user for those inputs, and then we can pass it into the research destination task. So here we've established those two values, and we'll be able to pass that into the research destination task for the agents to work with that information. So now that we've passed that into the function, we can begin constructing some of the context and the instruction for the task. So for this, we'll provide the destination and their interests, and then the instruction will guide them into what we want their behavior and response to be. So the context will just be an introduction of those variables, the destination and the interests. The task is essentially to research the destination, find some images and write a nice report about the destination with the images embedded, and have kind of an overview of the destination and a little bit of highlights in relation to the user's interests. So the instruction is essentially just research the given destination with your Wikipedia tools, collecting both articles and images to prepare a markdown response about the destination. Include some relevant information about the destination in relation to the user's interests. Now that we've defined that, we can return task. Alternatively, for a bit less code, you can always say return task create. And then we'll bring that into the main orchestration function. So the first response is going to be the destination report, and that is going to be the result of running research destination task with the destination and interests. Next, we'll want to do the research events task. In this case, we're going to want to include dates as well, because the events are, of course, going to have to do with the dates of travel. So we'll assign the web researcher to this one, and the context will be the dates, interests, and destination. So we'll also provide the intended dates of travel. We'll end with an underline. Now we have the instruction. So the instruction is essentially just going to be use your web research tool to find events in the given destination in that time span. So here we just instruct it to use web tools to research the destination around the time of date, and to include some information about the interests of the user as well, to find more tailored events. So we'll print the destination report, and then we can pass now the next task. It's going to be produce that event report. And we'll have to make sure to collect the dates as well. And we can print the events report. We'll start with verbose logging, and so I'll take the print statements out for now because we'll see that in the console log anyway. And we'll return that once I set verbosity to false. Now is a good time to do that actually, so we can set verbosity to 1 or true. Now we've got the next task. So this task is going to be the first of the tasks performed by the travel agent, and it's going to be research weather and research flights before finally we have it writing the final report. So the context is going to be the destination and the dates. And our instruction is, this one is a little bit more tricky because if the dates are far into the future, they'll have to use their web search tool to research average times of year. But if it's in the near future, they can actually look up the recent weather from the Weather API tool. So our instruction is going to specify some of that. We'll say so we're just instructing it here to research the weather and write a report, and giving it a little bit of specification about which tools to use. We're telling it that if it's in the future, that we're going to want to use the web tools if it's far into the future, so we have to make sure to assign that to the agent. So we're giving the travel agent web search as well as get weather data. Now we have research flights task. Research flights is going to take in the location, current location of the user, as well as the destination and the dates. So we're going to create a new one for location, destination, and we have dates. So we have to ask the user their current location. So the context will provide the user's current location, destination, and dates. Now the instruction is going to be to research flights for the given location and write a report about some of the better options. So we'll ask for the best 3 options. We should bring in the new tasks here. So we have our weather report. We'll pass those. Temporary print. And then finally we have the research flights task. And finally, let's ask a third agent that doesn't have any tools to write us a comprehensive report. And then we won't give it any tools. You could always have the travel agent write the final report, but in this case, we'll create a reporter agent without any tools so it can focus on pulling all that information in together without worrying about any tool use. So the final report's going to take the output of all of the previous tasks as its input, and we'll ask it to write a report that kind of brings all of that information into one cohesive response. We will assign that new reporter agent. And then we'll separate those with some new lines. And a little prefix for it. And our instruction will be to essentially write a report with all that information. So there we go. We've got our final instruction, write a comprehensive report using Markdown and try to include all the information. So the reason I've commented out those print statements is that we have verbosity to true, and that's going to show all the print statements from the prompt sent to the LLM. But we should be ready to give this a run. I forgot the if name main. So in this run we'll be flying from Toronto. We will be going to Paris, say. Specific interest, we could say architecture. What are the dates of your travel? We'll go soon, say August 15th to the 21st. So this is the prompt that's sent to the LLM. It includes some of the tools and the tasks. So it searched up Paris architecture as well as landmarks and images and Wikipedia search. So there's some of the URLs from the images and information about Paris' location with the Wikipedia article search. And the LLM is just thinking through its final answer now. So we have our final response there. We have a list of some of the interesting things to do and architectural styles as well as embedded photos. So that's great. Next thing, we have it searching Paris events and the date span that I'm going to be there. So our report on the events here, we have architecture related events, general events, and some of the information on that, which is looking actually pretty good. Next, we have our agent searching the average weather in Paris in August. It also got the weather data for the 7 days. It wrote the weather report here. Looks good, mentioning sun, humidity, precipitation, wind, overall weather conditions. Now we have the travel agent is searching flights. So we've got Toronto to Charles de Gaulle, the dates I specified. And the currency, it even specified a Canadian dollar because I'm traveling from Toronto, which is an interesting touch. So there's all the flight information. We have our report. So the best direct flight option it found, $939, 7 hours, 30 minutes. And then we have an alternative option and the best price option that includes a layover. Takes a little bit longer, but there's not a benefit in price. So it's good to know some of that from the flight search, and that's going to be incorporated in the final answer. Now it's writing that final answer. We see the reports from each generation. And here we have the end of our TaskFlow. Dear traveler, pleased to present you with comprehensive travel report for your upcoming journey from Toronto to Paris. So we have our flight options, weather forecast, events, a little bit of an architectural plan, and some photographs. Just wanted to see if we could get Cursor with Sonnet 3.5 to throw a UI on it with Streamlit. So I'm going to install. So I just gave it some docs from Streamlit. Let's see the first thing it comes up with. Cool. That's fun. So we'll say, let's say Toronto. We're traveling to Paris. We'll go September 15th to the 28th. For so I'll pull up the logs on the right side here. It's essentially going to go through. We don't have streaming messages in the UI. In this case, it's probably just going to be showing the actual reports, but it's looks pretty good. Oh, beautiful. We have some images. And so now we're researching events. So we have architecture and design events. Paris Design Week is actually then. Some botany, horticulture. For the weather, it actually successfully got weather this time, which is nice. 10 days weather. Now we're doing the flight search. Oh, we got the report. So we have our flight options there. Looks pretty good. We have our price range, 718, 720. And now it's generating that final travel report. And that's it. We got average weather, activity, we have some flights, attractions, and links. So that's just a quick demo of what you can build with TaskflowAI and Streamlit together with a little UI. Hope it's been helpful, and cheers.